Chillingham Castle, nestled in the desolate, windswept landscapes of Northumberland, England, bore the grim title of Britain's most haunted castle. Its ancient stones, stained with centuries of blood and betrayal, seemed to exhale a perpetual chill. For Dr. Eleanor Vance, a pragmatic archaeologist specializing in medieval warfare, this Halloween was an opportunity not for ghost hunting, but for uncovering forgotten military strategies. She was leading a clandestine dig beneath the castle's notorious torture chamber, convinced that the persistent rumors of spectral cries and shadowy figures were merely atmospheric illusions, products of the castle's gruesome history. Her objective: to find a hidden passage rumored to lead to an ancient siege tunnel used during the Wars of the Roses. Eleanor, driven by an unyielding academic curiosity, had spent years studying the castle's blueprints and historical records. She dismissed the endless anecdotes of the Blue Boy or the Radiant Boy as local folklore, charming but irrelevant to her scientific pursuit. Her team, a small group of equally skeptical but diligent archaeology students, shared her scientific rigor, yet even they admitted to an unsettling feeling that permeated the castle, a constant low hum of unease. The air was perpetually cold, damp, and carried the faint scent of old earth, decay and something else, a coppery tang, like dried blood that had soaked into the very bedrock. They arrived at Chillingham on the eve of Halloween, the sky a dramatic canvas of bruised purples and ominous oranges as the sun dipped below the rolling hills. The castle, a formidable medieval fortress, loomed against the twilight, its battlements silhouetted like jagged teeth. A single, intricately carved jack-o'-lantern, its glowing orange eyes casting dancing shadows, sat on the guardhouse parapet. A festive nod from the resident caretaker, but for Eleanor, an ironic counterpoint to the castle's grim history. Their dig site, deep beneath the torture chamber, was a small, cramped space, illuminated by powerful floodlights. The air was thick with dust and the oppressive weight of centuries of suffering. Eleanor and her team meticulously removed layers of packed earth, revealing ancient masonry. Their EMF detectors and thermal cameras, usually reliable, frequently gave erratic readings in this area, which Eleanor attributed to the castle's thick stone walls interfering with their signals. As the clock crept towards midnight on Halloween, they uncovered a section of the wall that seemed anomalous. Different stone, a subtle shift in mortar. Eleanor, her heart quickening with professional excitement, ordered her team to proceed with caution. "This could be it," she whispered, her voice echoing in the confined space. Suddenly, the floodlights flickered violently, then plunged the chamber into near-total darkness, leaving only the dim, flickering orange light from their headlamps and the distant, unsettling glow of the caretaker's jack-o'-lantern from above. A guttural groan, deep and resonant, seemed to emanate from the very walls, vibrating through their bones. It was a sound of profound anguish and ancient fury. Then, from the darkness of a newly exposed recess in the wall, a frigid gust of wind, smelling faintly of ancient blood and damp earth, swept through the chamber, extinguishing their headlamps one by one. They were plunged into absolute darkness, surrounded by the overwhelming, chilling presence. A faint spectral glow, an eerie, pulsating orange, began to emanate from the deepest recesses of the newly exposed passage. It intensified, taking the shape of a massive armored figure. He was a knight, clad in full medieval plate armor, but his visor was empty, revealing only swirling darkness within. In his gauntleted hand, he clutched a rusted, blood-stained longsword. His entire form radiated an aura of immense power, boundless rage, and an unbearable cold. This was not a residual haunting. This was a revenant, a spirit bound by a powerful, unfulfilled vengeance. And he was very, very real. Eleanor's scientific mind reeled. This was beyond explanation. This was the legendary Grey Lady's Knight, a spirit rumored to guard the castle's darkest secrets, awakened by their intrusion. Who are you?" she stammered, her voice trembling. The spectral knight did not speak. Instead, a series of fragmented, brutal images flooded Eleanor's mind. A treacherous siege, the betrayal of a trusted ally, the ambush and massacre of his entire company, the agonizing torture he endured in this very chamber, and finally, his execution by decapitation. He saw his head impaled on a pike displayed on the castle walls, a grim trophy. His vengeance, however, was not against his direct killers, but against those who profited from the betrayals, those who manipulated loyalty for power. His spirit, a powerful, malevolent entity, was forever bound to this place, to punish those who sought to exploit or disrespect the true sacrifices made in the castle's name. His rage was tied to the very bloodline of the betrayers, a lineage that still held sway over the castle and its surrounding lands. The images clarified a horrific truth. This knight, Sir Chillingham, was not merely a guardian of a tunnel. He was the embodiment of the castle's bloodlust, its violent history made manifest. And on Halloween, when the blood moon shone, his power reached its peak, demanding not just recognition, but a perpetuation of his brutal legacy through new sacrifices. He was looking for those who sought selfish gain from the castle's past, those who disturbed his eternal vigil for mere academic or financial profit. His glowing orange eyes, echoing the jack-o'-lantern, were filled with a burning, ancient hatred. The air grew heavy with the presence of countless other shadowy forms, indistinct but menacing, their eyes also glowing with a faint orange light, swirling around the spectral night. They were the tormented souls of those who had died by betrayal within the castle walls, now his spectral army. All roused by the blood moon's call, the spectral knight raised his blood-stained longsword, pointing it directly at Eleanor. The blade, impossibly, pulsed with an internal orange glow. He let out a guttural roar, a sound that ripped through the very fabric of the chamber, echoing the anguish of centuries of unfulfilled vengeance. The ground trembled violently. Eleanor, terrified but refusing to cower, remembered an obscure detail from an old, forgotten account of Chillingham, a local legend that the knight's true name, if spoken with sincere intent, could momentarily disrupt his spectral form, a momentary vulnerability. She had dismissed it as a ridiculous superstition, but now it was her only hope. "Sir Chillingham!" she cried, her voice ringing with unexpected authority. "By your true name, I command you to halt." The knight froze, his spectral form flickering violently. The orange glow in his eyes dimmed, and the sword wavered. The guttural roar softened to a mournful sigh. The name, spoken from a living voice, had an undeniable effect. She remembered another fragment from the same text, that the knight sought not death, but a final, honorable stand, a duel for his lost honor. He craved the recognition of his true sacrifice, not merely the historical footnotes that dismissed him as a nameless ghost. He wanted his story, unadulterated by myth told. "Sir Chillingham," Eleanor continued, her voice gaining confidence, "we are not here to desecrate your memory. We are here to uncover the truth, to honor the fallen, to tell your story, not as a ghost, but as a warrior betrayed." As she spoke, the knight's form became more defined, less ethereal. The rage in his eyes softened, replaced by a deep, ancient sorrow. He lowered his sword, its orange glow fading. He was listening. He wanted his story, his true sacrifice, to be understood. He didn't want to kill them. He wanted his vengeance to be complete, for the cycle of betrayal and silence to end. He wanted the truth to be the ultimate weapon against the lingering shadow of injustice. Eleanor, sensing a shift, took a bold step forward. "Your vengeance, Sir Chillingham, lies not in bloodshed, but in truth. Allow us to unearth the records of your betrayal, to expose the real traitors, to clear your name across the ages." The knight stood motionless, his gaze fixed on her. The air in the chamber, though still cold, no longer felt oppressive. The other spectral forms had retreated, their orange glows barely visible in the periphery. Then slowly, deliberately, Sir Chillingham knelt, a gesture of unexpected humility and acceptance. He plunged his spectral sword into the earth beside him. As the blade entered the stone, a powerful tremor shook the chamber. A deep, resonant hum filled the air. The wall behind him, where Eleanor had suspected a passage, shimmered with an intense orange light, then slowly faded, revealing an ancient, perfectly preserved siege tunnel. Sir Caelan then rose, his form glowing with a soft golden light. He looked at Eleanor, a faint, almost peaceful smile gracing his spectral lips, before his form dissolved into countless shimmering golden particles that drifted upwards. Through the stone ceiling towards the unseen sky, the oppressive cold vanished, replaced by a subtle warmth. The EMF detectors and thermal cameras returned to normal readings. The castle, for the first time in centuries, felt truly quiet. Emerging from Chillingham Castle at dawn, Eleanor was no longer just an archaeologist. She was a storyteller, a witness to a truth that transcended the material world. Her skepticism was replaced by a profound conviction in the enduring power of human stories, even after death. She and her team had not found a siege tunnel. They had found redemption for a tormented soul. She published her findings, not just the archaeological data, but Sir Caelan's story, weaving together historical facts with her personal, terrifying encounter. Her book, The Night of Chillingham, Vengeance and Redemption, became an international sensation, forever altering the perception of Chillingham Castle. From that Halloween forward, Chillingham Castle's ghostly reputation began to shift. The aggressive haunting ceased. Visitors reported feelings of peace in the torture chamber, a subtle sense of presence, but no longer one of malevolence. The single jack-o'-lantern on the guardhouse parapet remained, but it was now lit with a different kind of purpose. A beacon of respect, a silent promise to the enduring spirit of Sir Caelan. And Dr. Eleanor Vance, the once pragmatic archaeologist, became the castle's most ardent advocate, ensuring that the true history and the true heroism of its fallen knight were never again forgotten, especially on Halloween when the veil thins and ancient vengeance can finally find its peace.